There comes a time in the story of humanity when silence becomes betrayal. Not betrayal against another person, but against the very breath that sustains us, the earth, the air that fills your lungs, the water that quenches your thirst, the soil that feeds your body. These are not resources, they are relationships. And yet humanity has forgotten this relationship. We have become deaf to the whispers of the trees, blind to the cry of the oceans, and numb to the suffering of our own planet. Climate change is not merely a scientific term, it is a mirror that reflects our greed, our impatience, and our disconnection from nature's rhythm. But understand this, nature does not punish, it simply responds. Every drought, every flood, every storm, they are not acts of anger but acts of balance. The earth is reminding us, you cannot take endlessly and expect harmony. The question is not whether the planet will survive. The earth has endured worse. The question is, will we? Humanity stands at the edge of two paths. One leads to renewal, the other to ruin. Renewal will not come through governments alone, nor through science alone, but through a shift in consciousness. It begins when you decide to live with awareness, when you stop seeing nature as separate from you, when you understand that every breath you take is borrowed, not owned. To heal the planet, we must first heal our minds. The pollution of the earth began with the pollution of thought, the belief that we are masters of this world. True mastery is harmony, not domination. So I ask you, when you walk, do you feel the ground beneath your feet? When you drink water, do you give thanks for its purity? When you breathe, do you realize it is the same breath shared by all living beings? Climate change is not our enemy, it is our teacher. It teaches us urgency, humility, and unity. Humanity's final warning is not destruction, it is awakening. If we awaken now, there is hope. If we sleep longer, there will only be silence. The choice is still ours. Choose wisely, choose harmony, choose life. When we speak of climate change, we often imagine melting glaciers, rising seas, and dying forests, images of destruction and decay. But these are only the surface symptoms of a much deeper disorder. Climate change is not merely an environmental crisis, it is a spiritual reflection. It is the earth holding up a mirror to humanity, showing us what we have become. What we see in this mirror is not just polluted skies or poisoned rivers, it is our own inner confusion, our endless hunger for more, our forgetfulness of balance. Humanity in its pursuit of progress has mistaken movement for growth. We have built cities that touch the clouds, yet we have lost touch with the clouds themselves. We have created machines that can mimic thought, yet forgotten how to think with our hearts. The earth is showing us, with every flood and every drought, that our actions are echoes of our state of mind. When the human heart becomes restless, nature becomes restless too. What we do outwardly is only the projection of what we have cultivated inwardly. The fires that consume forests are reflections of the fires of greed and impatience burning within us. The ice that melts in the polar regions mirrors the melting of integrity and restraint within the collective soul of humanity. The imbalance in ecosystems reflects the imbalance in human priorities, where consumption outweighs compassion and convenience outweighs consciousness. We often speak of saving the planet, but the truth is that the planet does not need saving, it needs understanding. The earth has been in balance for billions of years. It is humanity that has drifted from balance, and climate change is the mirror that gently, yet urgently, reminds us of this truth. This mirror, however, is not shown to us in anger. Nature is not vengeful, it is responsive. It mirrors what we give it. When we act with respect, it gives abundance. When we act with ignorance, it gives lessons. The reflection of our current reality, the unstable climates, the unpredictable seasons, the loss of biodiversity, is the natural feedback of a system seeking to restore harmony. And yet, instead of listening, we often attempt to fight the reflection. We blame, debate, and delay, as though the image in the mirror could be changed without changing ourselves. This is the greatest misunderstanding of our time, to treat the symptom while ignoring the source. The mirror is not to be argued with, it is to be studied. To look deeply into the reflection of climate change is to look into our own eyes and ask, where did we lose connection? It is to realize that every environmental crisis is also a crisis of consciousness. When we finally dare to face the mirror, something remarkable happens. We begin to remember. We remember that the earth is not an object to be used, but a presence to be honored. We begin to see that what we call nature is not outside of us, it is within us, expressed through breath, heartbeat and thought. The winds that circle the planet are the same winds that move through our lungs. The water that falls from the clouds flows within our veins. The soil that feeds the roots also feeds our bodies. When this realization returns, the reflection in the mirror begins to soften. The storms will still come, but they will no longer feel like punishments. They will feel like conversations. Climate change then is not a prophecy of doom but a message of remembrance. It calls us not to fear the mirror but to learn from it, to realign our hearts with the rhythm of the earth, to see clearly, and to live wisely once again. Nature is not cruel, it does not act out of anger or vengeance. When we see hurricanes destroying coastlines, wildfires consuming forests, or droughts leaving lands barren, it is easy for the human mind to interpret these as acts of punishment, as though the earth were striking back against us. But this is a misunderstanding born from ego. Nature does not punish. It balances every movement of the wind, every tremor beneath the ground, every shift in temperature. All of it is part of a grand continuous attempt to restore equilibrium. The earth is a living organism, vast and intelligent beyond comprehension, and balance is its eternal rhythm. When humanity disrupts this rhythm through excess, exploitation and indifference, the planet simply responds by seeking a new center of harmony. The storms, the floods, the fires, they are nature's language of correction, not condemnation. If we were to look at nature as a teacher rather than an enemy, we would begin to understand the meaning behind its actions. When the forest burns, new soil is born. When the river floods, the earth is replenished. Even destruction in nature carries the seed of renewal. This is the profound wisdom we have forgotten. Balance is not comfort and harmony does not mean stillness. The same energy that nurtures life also transforms it, reshapes it, and at times erases it to make room for something new. Humanity, however, has attempted to freeze the natural process, to demand only growth, only expansion, only control. We seek endless summer, but reject the necessity of winter. We crave abundance, but avoid discipline. In doing so, we disrupt the cyclical nature of life itself, and when the cycles are broken, nature must restore them, even if that restoration comes through events we perceive as catastrophic. What we call disaster may in truth be the planet healing itself. The balance that nature seeks is not separate from the balance we need within ourselves. The Earth's climate, its oceans, and its forests are reflections of the human inner state. When our collective consciousness is restless, greedy, and disconnected, the natural world begins to mirror that imbalance. The rising temperature of the planet parallels the rising heat of human emotion, anger, desire, impatience. The deforestation of the earth mirrors the deforestation of our minds, the clearing away of stillness, silence, and wisdom for the sake of speed and profit. The pollution of rivers and air echoes the pollution of thought and speech. We are in every way participants in nature's process. When we move out of balance, the world around us moves with us. The storms are not random, they are reflections, reminders of the law of cause and effect. And until we learn to live again in harmony, nature will continue to recalibrate. It will continue to seek balance, because balance is its way of survival, and survival is its way of love. To see the earth's corrections as love may sound strange, but consider this love in its purest form is not indulgence, it is guidance. A parent corrects a child not to harm, but to help them grow. In the same way, the earth's responses, though painful, are not acts of hatred, but of instruction. Through these lessons, nature is urging us to awaken to our interdependence, to recognize that our well-being is inseparable from its own. The air that sustains us, the soil that feeds us, the water that cleanses us, all are threads in one sacred web. When one thread is pulled too tightly, the entire web trembles. Nature's rebalancing is not revenge, it is a compassionate call to remember that every action carries weight. We are not observers of the earth's changes, we are participants in them. And until humanity begins to act with humility and awareness, nature will continue its balancing act, not to destroy, but to restore what we have forgotten, that life in all its forms moves toward harmony. Before smoke filled the skies, confusion filled the mind. Before rivers became poisoned, greed had already taken root in the human heart. Climate change did not begin with machines, nor with factories, nor with the invention of plastic. It began within consciousness. The outer world is a projection of the inner one. Every action that manifests in the physical realm has first been conceived in thought. When thought is clouded by fear, desire and disconnection, it gives birth to actions that mirror those qualities. Humanity has spent centuries constructing systems of progress built not upon balance, but upon domination. Domination of nature, of resources, and often of each other. We polluted the earth because we first polluted our understanding of what it means to live in harmony. We convinced ourselves that ownership is mastery, that growth is success, and that consumption is freedom. These illusions have shaped an entire civilization, one that measures wealth by what it can take, not by what it can sustain. The environmental crisis, therefore, is not external, it is a symptom of a much deeper internal illness. The earth does not separate our inner life from our outer actions. When humanity's thoughts grow restless, the winds respond. When our collective greed intensifies, the fires rise. When our compassion dries up, the rivers too begin to vanish. These are not metaphors, they are reflections of an energetic truth. The planet is a living consciousness that mirrors the frequency of human behavior. Every polluted ocean represents a polluted intention, every decaying forest represents a neglected heart. We have filled the world with waste because we have filled ourselves with want. We hoard material things to fill spiritual emptiness, and in doing so we leave behind mountains of garbage, both visible and invisible. Our addiction to distraction, to noise, to speed, to constant consumption, mirrors the deforestation of silence within the human mind. We have cut down the forests of inner peace and replaced them with cities of thought that never sleep. This is the true root of the problem. We have forgotten how to be still, how to listen, how to simply be in harmony with existence. To heal the outer world, we must first cleanse the inner one. Every act of pollution begins with a thought, and every act of restoration begins with awareness. The transformation that the earth needs will not come only from technology or policy, but from consciousness itself. The person who reduces greed purifies more of the planet than the one who recycles without awareness. The one who breathes mindfully, who walks gently, who gives thanks for what they have, this person is already reducing the vibration of destruction in the world. It is easy to protest against pollution outside, but the true revolution begins when we stop polluting our thoughts with negativity, comparison, and pride. When we begin to see life as sacred again, every choice, from what we eat to how we live, begins to align with that reverence. The outer ecosystem and the inner ecosystem are one and the same. The clearer the mind, the cleaner the earth becomes. Many people believe that environmental change requires massive action, but in truth, it begins with a single realization: you are not separate from the world you see. When you throw away food, you throw away gratitude. When you waste water, you waste life. When you harm the soil, you harm your own breath. Everything is connected: the leaf, the raindrop, the animal, the human, the unseen flow of energy that binds them. To heal this planet, humanity must rediscover its sacred bond with the invisible. This is why the greatest form of environmental activism is inner transformation. A heart filled with kindness will naturally act in ways that protect life. A mind that sees beauty in simplicity will no longer crave endless excess. When the mind is clear, the world will be clear. The pollution of the earth began with the pollution of thought, and so too will its healing begin when our thoughts become pure once again. In a world overflowing with information yet starving for wisdom, awareness has become humanity's most neglected resource. We have gathered countless facts about the environment. We know how much the ice caps have melted, how much carbon fills the atmosphere, how many species vanish each day, yet knowledge alone has not led to transformation. Why? Because knowledge without awareness is like light without warmth. It illuminates but does not awaken. Awareness is not the same as data, nor is it the same as intellect. It is a deeper kind of seeing, one that comes not from the mind but from the soul. Awareness is the understanding that every action, however small, ripples through the web of life. It is the realization that what we do to the planet we do to ourselves. When a person becomes aware, their behavior naturally aligns with balance. There is no need for enforcement or external rules. Awareness becomes the law of their being. Without it, even the best environmental policies become temporary fixes for a problem rooted in unconsciousness. Humanity's greatest mistake has been to treat nature as something separate, a stage upon which our lives unfold, rather than a living part of who we are. This illusion has led us to act like owners, not participants, consumers, not caretakers. But when awareness arises, the illusion dissolves. We begin to feel the heartbeat of the earth within our own. We see that the tree breathing outside our window is performing the same sacred act we perform in every moment, inhaling, exhaling, existing. The air that enters our lungs has passed through the leaves of countless forests, through mountains and seas, through other living beings. When awareness expands to this level, compassion becomes effortless. You no longer recycle because it is the right thing to do. You recycle because you feel the pain of waste. You no longer conserve water because of scarcity. You do so because every drop feels like life itself. Awareness transforms obligation into devotion. It turns environmentalism from a movement into a meditation. Yet awareness is not something that can be taught in words. It must be cultivated through presence. In the rush of modern life, most people live disconnected from the moment they inhabit. We rush through the day as though running from time itself, rarely stopping to notice the sunlight on the skin, the taste of clean water, the sound of the wind. But awareness lives in these simple recognitions. It is not found in noise or complexity, but in stillness. When one walks through a forest without a phone, without agenda, and simply listens, truly listens, awareness begins to bloom. The rustle of leaves becomes more than a sound, it becomes communication. The fragrance of soil after rain becomes more than a smell, it becomes memory, wisdom, presence. When we practice awareness in nature, we are not just observing the world, we are remembering our place within it. This remembrance is the foundation of healing. Once you see clearly, you cannot act blindly again. To solve climate change, humanity must awaken not only technologically but spiritually. Solar panels, electric cars, and green cities are tools, but without awareness, even tools become extensions of greed. We must go beyond innovation and enter into understanding. Awareness brings humility. It reminds us that progress without reverence is still destruction, just in a more sophisticated form. When we live with awareness, we begin to act from responsibility rather than convenience. Every choice, what to eat, what to buy, how to travel, how to live, becomes a reflection of mindfulness. Awareness transforms consumption into care and routine into ritual. The true revolution against climate change begins when each person becomes conscious of their connection to the earth. This awakening cannot be legislated, nor can it be forced. It must be experienced. Awareness once awakened spreads like light through darkness. It shifts not only behavior but being itself. And when humanity rediscovers this awareness, the harmony we seek in the outer world will naturally return, because awareness is and has always been the most powerful solution of all. When we hear the phrase humanity's final warning, it often stirs fear of collapse, extinction, or loss. But perhaps this warning is not a curse, perhaps it is a calling. The earth is not shouting at us in anger, it is whispering in urgency. The storms, the droughts, the fires, these are not signs of hatred, but messages of awakening. The planet is saying you have gone too far in forgetting who you are. Humanity's final warning is in truth an invitation to remember our sacred bond with life. This is not the end of the story, but a turning point. The crisis we face is not merely physical, it is deeply spiritual. The earth is urging us to step out of the illusion of separation and rediscover unity, not as a concept but as a living reality. The warning becomes a doorway, and on the other side lies not destruction but transformation. If we accept the invitation, we step into a new era of consciousness, one guided by awareness, humility, and care for all life. This invitation asks us to awaken from the dream of control and dominance. For centuries, humanity has lived as if nature were a servant, an endless supplier of comfort and wealth. We have taken without listening, built without balance, and consumed without conscience. Yet even now, the earth continues to offer us grace. Despite the pollution, the forests still grow. Despite the melting ice, the oceans still cradle life. Despite our ignorance, the sun still rises. The earth does not withhold her gifts. She simply reminds us through her imbalance that our way of living cannot continue in blindness. The final warning, therefore, is not a threat but a compassionate gesture, a reminder that time is still left, but it is slipping through our hands. We are being called to shift not only our behavior but our being. The change required is not just in policies or technologies but in perception, in the very way we see ourselves in relation to the world. When humanity listens to this invitation, something profound begins to happen. The boundaries between human and nature begin to dissolve. We begin to see that the earth is not outside of us. We are expressions of the earth itself. The trees are our lungs, the rivers are our veins, the soil is our skin, and the atmosphere is our breath. To harm the planet is to harm the body of humanity. To heal it is to heal our collective soul. The final warning then becomes an invitation to compassion, not just for other people, but for every form of life. When you look into the eyes of an animal, when you feel the wind across your face, when you touch the soil with your hands, awareness dawns. You begin to understand that existence itself is sacred, and that your life is a thread in a vast interconnected tapestry. This realization transforms fear into reverence. The warning ceases to feel like a sentence and begins to sound like a song asking us to come home to balance, to simplicity, to love. This invitation is not for tomorrow, it is for now. It asks us to slow down, to pay attention, and to act from the heart. Every small act of awareness becomes an answer to the earth's call. When you plant a tree, you are saying yes to life. When you walk instead of drive, when you share instead of waste, when you give gratitude instead of complaint, you are accepting the invitation. Humanity's final warning is not an ending but an awakening, a collective initiation into maturity. The earth is asking us to evolve beyond greed into gratitude, beyond ownership into stewardship, beyond survival into harmony. It is calling us to rise, not through technology or power, but through consciousness. This is not about saving the planet alone, it is about saving our relationship with life itself. The earth is extending her hand, not to punish us, but to guide us. The question that remains is not whether the earth will survive, she always will, but whether we will awaken in time to walk beside her once more. There is a moment in every storm when the winds begin to calm and silence returns. That silence, that pause, is where we now stand as humanity, between the chaos we have created and the harmony we can still restore. The earth is not asking for our fear, it is asking for our awareness. It does not demand worship, only respect. It does not seek perfection, only participation. Every step we take toward mindfulness, every act of kindness toward the natural world, is a seed planted for generations yet unborn. We often wonder if it is too late, but time has never been the true question. The true question is whether we are willing to awaken now, because awakening does not happen in some distant future. It happens the moment we choose to see clearly. If we can look at the earth not as a possession, but as a partner, not as a resource, but as a relative, everything changes. When we remember that the sky above us and the breath within us are one and the same, fear dissolves, and what takes its place is reverence, the kind of reverence that transforms how we live, how we think, and how we give. Climate change is not the end of the world, it is the end of forgetfulness, the end of blindness, the end of living without awareness. It is an awakening, a call to return to the sacred balance that has always sustained life. Humanity's final warning is not a whisper of doom, but a song of remembrance. A reminder that even now, in the shadow of our mistakes, the earth is still offering us another chance. The question is not can we change, the question is will we listen, and if we listen, truly listen, then the age of destruction will give birth to the age of renewal. The same hands that once harmed can begin to heal, the same minds that once consumed can begin to create. The same hearts that once ignored can begin to care. The future is not something that happens to us. It is something we are shaping in every breath, every choice, every moment. So let this be the moment we choose awareness over ignorance, unity over division, harmony over haste. Let this be the moment we remember that to protect the earth is to protect ourselves. Let this be the moment we awaken together, before silence becomes our only teacher. The choice is here, the time is now, and the earth is still listening.